Hello and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play LOTRO with me, Balthelion. So once again we're at Calendim, and I think we're literally in exactly the same spot where we started the last episode, where we've returned to Brigadir with some special wine that the lady from Limeau's vineyard has provided for us, so we can hand that in.
Friend and well met.
Thank you, Aureen, and thank my friend Breathelwen for knowing my intentions. I understand that Breathelwen was beset by goblins, and that you fought many off to obtain this spirit. Know that it was for a worthy cause.
Greetings, friend. Will you lend me your ear?
Before you leave, Aureen, I have one more boon to ask of you. I promised a bottle of last year's vintage to a friend at Duillond to the north, and my labours kept me too busy to fulfil that pledge. I hope this has not inconvenienced her. Could you deliver this bottle to Dullingil for me? The refuge lies on the road that follows the river north beyond Limeau's vineyard. If you reach the dwarf port of Keladul, you have travelled too far north. Perhaps you should make use of the horse from here to Duillond. Well, we're not going to do that. We can just ride manually. So what's this other quest? So yeah, we can change our professions.
Megavanen, might you spare a moment of your time?
Or this hand-in that we've got is because we've done all the free introduction quests to the free professions of the vocation that we chose. So we can get some free ingredient packs. So hand that in.
Hail, friend, and well met.
Get some free stuff. And get that off our quest tracker. And we've also got to go down the bottom of Calendim now because we have to hand in the prologue. Is this the elf or the high elf one? I presume it's the normal elf one. So find this chap over here.
A shadow is on my spirit.
What is this? Pamprausch said that my son still lives. Aberfal was not slain. My heart wants to believe, but to believe the words of a goblin? Still, I cannot fathom why he would tell you this if it were not so. But if Aberfal is alive, then his capture does not bode well. I fear he will not live long while imprisoned by these outcast dwarves. They are no better than the goblins. So we can get an earring, but neither of them will probably be any better than what I've got, so...
Will you hear my sorrows?
You have done so much for me already, Aureen, but there is still much that must be done if my son is to be restored. We have not had dealings with the dwarves for a very long time, and those are not pleasant memories. Have you heard of Skorgrim Dowerhand's attack on the old refuge of Balthelion? Dwarves are scheming and self-serving, not to be trusted. We must gather our strength to lay siege to the dwarves of Ered Luin and rescue Aberfal from their clutches, but only Dorangur Whitehelm, the master of Duillond, has the authority to muster such a force. Bring him the news of my son, that he is alive but a prisoner. We must strike at the dwarves before it is too late. Speak with Toron at the stable before you go. He will hasten you upon your journey. So we can mount up. And we have to literally talk to the stable master. Or the guy at the stables.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Oh, this is a different quest, I think. Long have my brother and I dwelt upon these shores, and much have we seen in that time. Now the time has come for us to leave this place and sail into the west. My brother, however, does not see clearly and wishes to remain here. We have always dwelt together, and I could not consider a day in my life without his company and counsel. He is the cord which binds me to this Middle-earth. While he is of a mind to remain, I am forced to wait for him. If you would, go to Duillond and see if you can convince Bregar to join me here at Calendim. It is time we begin our journey. The refuge is north along the road. So everyone's basically sending us north. So I'll tell you what.
Megavanen.
Since it's not free, but it's unlocked anyway, we can travel for just 1 silver. And we're going to end up over here at Duillond, which is the next village. But while we're looking at that, let's have a look at some of the racial traits that the High Elf has. So some of these will synergise quite nicely with a minstrel or any other class that deals light damage as well. So, you know, a minstrel, warden, captain, all synergise quite nicely. So the first one we've got is Grace of the Firstborn. You move swiftly and effortlessly through the world. Plus 10% out of combat run speed. Which is nice. It's basically like a permanent coffee buff. You're probably not really going to notice it in the grand scheme of things, though. You know, you're going to run faster than someone over a long distance if you're running with a group of friends completely cross-country for like a few minutes. You'll probably realise you're a few metres ahead. Other than that, it's not going to be a huge amount of difference, really. But, you know, it's something at least. Those who remain, you resist the call to the west, knowing there is still work to be done in Middle-earth. So we're getting a +2 will bonus. I don't know if that scales up a little bit, but it won't be anything meaningful in the grand scheme of things. All of the races have some kind of stat contribution which can kind of offset the racial passive skills they have that kind of negate some of those things. So you can kind of offset those. And the third one on the top row, which we'll just talk about before we head off, is Blade Dancer. So your blade work is as deadly as it is beautiful to behold. So we get an extra 5% one-handed and two-handed sword damage bonus. So that makes swords preferable to use as a melee weapon. Versus any other types. Other classes might benefit from using certain weapon types, but your racial bonus will probably offset that. It depends on what kind of classes you've got. So often it will synergize quite well. So like wardens can get damage bonuses for pretty much every weapon, I think it is, with their one of their martial traits, which kind of improves their base weapon damage. Captains can use swords, so captains would get this benefit. Wardens can use a sword. Probably will be using sword because the parry bonus that's the passive on that is quite nice. It's not going to be. I don't think there's anything that's going to be too contradictory, really. But it's not like you can have a high elf burglar where you'd kind of be choosing between the crit of a dagger versus the damage bonus of the sword or anything like that. So yeah, generally you want to use a sword really if you're using a high elf, and preferably a fancy elaborate one. So this is the Stable Master. So previously when I was talking about the cave where you can do the Spring Festival, it's just over there if you want to do the Stop-a-shrew event. And if one kicks off while we're in Duillond, I might head over there at some point. But in the meantime, we have a few quests.
What can I do for you?
So, Finglair has succeeded in driving the darkness back from Tamgaler with your aid. I too have such a task before me, but alas, I have no trinket from Rivendell to aid me. I do know much of the herbs of these lands, however, and can mix a draught that should serve to purify the nearby ruins. Will you lend me your aid in this endeavour?
Stay a moment.
You have decided to help me. Excellent. There's a draught I know the making of that should cleanse the taint from the ruins of Dol Ringwest. I have most of the ingredients I need, but there is one remaining herb, a fragrant herb that grows on the shores of the river, running north to south below Duillond. 'Tis a simple matter to gather it, and I would do so myself, but I am too lazy, and the brewing is a delicate stage right now, and I must keep a close eye on it. Would you gather the herbs I need, Oreen? Where we're going, so we need to go east. Second one's over here. And the third one is slightly north of where we are, so that's okay.
Greetings to you.
Splendid. I must admit that I wondered if perhaps Brigadir would come through on his promise. I should have known that he would not forget a friend. Ah, this vintage has the promise of aging nicely. Perhaps in some 30 years it will have aged sufficiently. You have my thanks. So that's the thing, like wine normally takes a few years to kind of age well and that, but for an elf that lives kind of almost forever, barring outside circumstances, or Stop-a-shrew starting, then, you know, if they're waiting for that wine to age, it probably doesn't seem like such a long time to them, you know. It's just like they've, you know, bought some fresh juice and put it in the fridge for a few days. So let's get over here. There's probably going to be quite a few people in here. Right, so we can take one of different quests. I think they're exclusive.
Will you lend me your ear?
For Flowers in the Garden, I think it's a different one.
Good day. Might I have a word with you?
Blah, blah, blah.
Mind my words, traveller.
These are all different ones. I think this is the one we want.
How can I be of service?
We're not going to read the quest
Mind
text.
my words, traveller.
So there we go. So we need to get the shrew stomping boots from the nearby crate, which is over here. We can pick this up. Drag your boots to the skill bar and enter the garden. So inside our bag we will have some boots, which is here. shall put this in the garden. Now, we have to have a look around. Someone's going to confuse this because they've got their shrew pet out at the minute. But there will be various shrews which will spawn randomly anywhere in this grassy area. And they're going to try and go for the plants. And we basically just need to get close to them, target them, and activate the boots of quite imaginable power. So 3 meter range, 1 second cooldown. It only works while we're inside here. These boots are made for stomping, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are going to stomp all over shrews. So that's kind of like Nancy Sinatra, these boots are made for walking lyrics, kind of twisted a little bit. So we'll have to wait until this starts. I don't know if the NPC will have some flavour text saying exactly when it's going to start. There we go, 1 minute remaining until the game begins. But they might have said that a little while ago. So it's not too bad. We've got myself and what, 4 or 5 others? Was there a 6th one in the bush, or is that the same guy that's running around? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 including myself. So we can just sit around, try and do this. We have to stomp as many shrews as we can, see if we end up being the winner. And if memory serves me correctly, I think once per round there will be one really big shrew that will arrive. There we go, 10 seconds remaining. And ideally we want to be the one to squish the big shrew. So I'll tell you what, I've got the skill on my number 1 bar, so I can just walk up to it pretty closely and just spam 1 at the first opportunity. There we go. Is that it? Oh. So I can just tab to select the nearest enemy. Oh, that one got away. Come here. Ideally we want to get 10, so we can at least finish this quest. As well, it does as well help having your target's target indicator on, so that's why I've got the that kind of whitish purplish ring, which tells me which oh, is it finished? I've got 10. That's it. So with your target's target on, and I probably can't really do this too well now because if I select a random person over here, I'll tell you what, let's select this fellow over here. So you can see that he's talking to this NPC. So this is my target's indicator, this is his target's indicator. So he's now deselected that NPC. So that means I can work out which plant the shroom is running to, because obviously if you're trying to activate the skill and you're running after them, they're probably going to run out of range before the skill activates. So you could just run straight towards the plant they're going for, beat them there, and then activate the skill. So it makes it a little bit easier to get those inductions off. But in any event, so let's talk to NPC, hand that in. So we'll get some flowers there. There are going to be various deeds that we can complete here. So the Spring Festival meta deed to basically do everything. You can have the Shrew Garden meta deed to stomp a certain number of shrews. Now bear in mind you can only do, I think there's more than one quest where you can potentially need to do more. It's like there's one to kill 10 shrews, and I'm sure like there's 3 different difficulties, and that was the easy ones. There's maybe like a I don't know, 15 and 25 or something like that. So obviously you can still carry on while the round's going on, stomp more shrews. Obviously the more people that are going to be in the garden means it's going to be harder to stomp some of those things, so you might not complete the quest in time. So you might want to pace yourself if it's too busy, or if it's a quiet time on your server, quiet time in the evening or something like that, then you can perhaps be a bit more ambitious and go for one of the harder difficulties. So in any event, we will mount up. We will ignore these shrew quests now. And we're going to have a couple of quests here that are going to be Spring Festival related that are activated now as well. So what do we got? So
stay a moment.
The easiest way to tell is obviously anything that will give you a Spring Leaf, being a Spring Festival reward token, is going to be a Spring Festival quest. But since they're here and we're questing here, why not? We might as well do all these anyway. So I'm nearly out of the cherry wood I use for the most important part of the boots, the sole. The sole is fortified with this gentle, moderately dense, strong wood. It is the perfect, yes, perfect wood for knocking out a pesky, oversized shrew, without really hurting it. Elves do not like to hurt creatures, you see. Well, I suppose shrews tempt us to use violence more than most animals of the wild, but we have come up with a fair compromise. Cherry branches grow around clusters of trees in the pastures along the road to Duillond. I am sure there will be plenty of branches on the ground to replenish today's supply. So, grab that.
Will you lend me your ear?
This is getting absurd. Tanafron over there, that weaver, yes, the one glaring my way, simply will not give me fibres for the linen I need for the special boots. My supplies are running low, and he is a key supplier, but he refuses to help me. And if memory serves, oh no, it's this guy over here. I'm sure there's at least like one festival quest where they're like referring back to the bulk standard crafting NPCs that are always in the town year round. I thought it was this one, maybe not. Blah, 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 blah. It is because his own supply of flax is running low and he hoards his ingredients so that his stock never depletes. I'm afraid I've gone and made him angry with my demands. Perhaps you can reason with him. Please try, Laurelin. So literally just take 2 steps to the left.
Do not underestimate my wrath.
He sounds very angry. What? So I like having a balanced supply of ingredient and product. What of it? If I have no ingredients tomorrow, I shall have no product. I do not think it is unreasonable for me to demand ingredients if I am going to generously give of my finite supply. If you want your own ingredients for your own endeavours, you will have to collect ingredients for me first. Flax plants grow along the road to Kellendim. You'll be able to see the pale blue flowers amongst the grasses. And back over here.
Mind my words, traveller.
I am ashamed to be admitting this, but I am out of twine, Laurelin. I am Master Bootmaker of the Garden of Shrew Stomping event. It is true, hard to believe, I know. Could you please help me fetch some more? I usually get mine in Kellendim, where the elves who tend the docks craft a fine strong thread. You are a good sort of high elf, Laurelin, truly. So, activate that. Now we want to get around the east side of town, because there's the proper quest that we need to advance. So if we come around the east side here, and we can see the river's down there, it's quite below. There's the Dwarven Docks just off in the distance, Caladul. And this is the bridge over to the Elven Homesteads. The Elven Homesteads are kind of just beyond these hills over here, across the bridge. But we need to stay up top. We need to come over here.
How can I be of service?
Your news is troubling, Laurelin. For dwarves to work peacefully with goblins is unusual enough, but to conspire in the abduction of an elf prince seems foolhardy, even for them. I will not call our warriors to arms just yet. Carnivore is full of anger, which is to be expected, but as Master of Duillond, it is my duty to exercise restraint. If the dwarves have indeed taken Aberfall, we will fall upon them with such fury that the mountains shall shake at our passing. But this could also be a trick of the goblins. They would have much to gain by a war between elves and dwarves.
Will you lend me your ear?
I have dispatched an emissary to the dwarf city of Gondomon to relax the growing tensions between elves and dwarves, but I fear rumour of Aberfall's captivity may prove too great a strain for her to ease. Journey north and west along the road to Gondomon and tell Gaelfin what has transpired here. Together you and she must learn the truth of Aberfall's whereabouts and rescue him, if indeed he is a prisoner of the dwarves. I do not wish for war until we are certain of his fate. If Aberfall has been harmed, or we are unable to free him, I would call our warriors to arms, but not before. So we're having a sensible leader over here. There's Bregart.
My heart cannot sing today.
My brother wishes to leave Middle-earth, but I believe it is time for us to stand our ground against the shadow growing in the east. With your help, perhaps, Toron will see reason. This Middle-earth which we love will soon face great peril, and we are bound to defend it. I cannot yet sail west.
Will you stay a moment and learn of my troubles?
Ding, level 11. Toron must know that while I remain behind, I will ever be with him. To do this, I will need your aid, as does every NPC in this game. So much of this land has been our shelter and teacher, and our memories are filled with moments of joy and laughter because of this land. I think perhaps my brother will appreciate this well enough to see me on my journey, as he begins his own. In the ruins of Dol Ringwest there lies a sword upon a stone cairn, borne once by a Dunedain we fought beside in defence of our homeland. I may be able to remind my brother of our duty to Middle-earth. My duties here will not allow me to leave, but I hope that you will see the need that I have to seal this rift between my brother and me. Will you help me? And he's also got another quest.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Ancient battles were fought at the ruins of Ring West, and we had fought the evil purged. Now goblins toil within the ruins, and desecrate the memory of the place. I would ask that you do your best to clear the goblins from these ruins. It will ease my heart, and perhaps aid my brother Torrent to live in peace. You will find the goblins in the residence of Ring West to the west of Duillond. Please make your way there, and drive these foul creatures from the ruins. So there we go. So that should be all the quests that we can pick up. So with that in mind, let us throw ourselves off this cliff and make horrible noises. So we need to go all the way down to the bottom of the hill, and I think I might have already made a mistake, because do I need to be on the other side of Duillond to do this? Quite possibly. Because I think we need to be over there, maybe? Yeah, so we need to be on the south side of Duillond, where the the shrew cave was, and we could have actually walked down here. So let's just casually throw ourselves off the cliff. Shouldn't be too high. And this is the damp, fragrant herbs. And for once, we are not gathering king's foil, otherwise known as Aphelas. Given that so many quests ask us to gather that, whether the NPCs know what it is or not. So what do we need? 3 of these. 1, 2, and 3. There's only 3 along the riverbanks. They're pretty hard to miss, even if you don't have the floaty names on. So we shall gather that up. There we go, my legs are back to normal. You can see Kellendim over in the distance over there. And actually you can get up the east side as well, across the river. So I think we'll probably stop there for this episode. Next episode, I think we'll have a little look at the Elven Homestead. So if you guys are wondering what the Elven Homestead looks like, what the interiors of those houses look like, we'll have a wander over there, see if we can step inside someone's house, have a little look around, and maybe discuss some of the more of the elven racial traits of the High Elf. So until then, I will see you guys next time.